Muchas gracias, señor.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. President Raúl Castro Ruiz expressed on the 22nd of February, and I quote, "The intervention of Western powers must stop in order to allow the Ukrainian people to exercise legitimately their right to self-determination." We cannot overlook the fact that these facts could have very serious consequences for peace and for international security. End of quote. Now, as the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Cuba pointed out, Bruno Rodriguez Padilla, in a press conference, which he offered in Havana on the 6th of March, later events show the seriousness and the validity of that statement. We cannot accept that a constitutional government is violently overthrown at the cost of dozens of dead and wounded as a result of intervention by the United States or some of its NATO allies, threats to the integrity of citizens due to their national origin, and the destruction of institutions and legitimate and legally recognized entities. He added that those who threat with sanctions and reprisals against the Russian Federation are the governments that brought about a regime change in Ukraine, and before that launched wars of conquest. They interfere or directly intervene in the internal affairs of different states who, throughout the world, those who don't agree with their interests for domination and those who defend their sovereignty and independence. Cuba, while we energetically oppose the implementation of sanctions against the Russian Federation, we reject hypocrisy, the double standard, and the very clear aggressiveness of actions, as well as NATO's discourse in this matter. The Cuban foreign minister warned that history will demand responsibility from the United States and its allies for the consequences of a military doctrine which is increasingly offensive beyond the borders of the North Atlantic Alliance, which threatens sovereignty and the independence of all states, and which constitutes a flagrant violation of international law as well as of the Charter of the United Nations. The attempt to extend NATO beyond or until as far as the borders of the Russian Federation is a serious threat to peace, security, and international stability. In the mentioned intervention on the 22nd of February, President Raúl Castro pointed out that we can find many analogies in the war manuals of the United States, which have been applied in various countries of a region, and with similar nuances in other continents, as corroborated by the cases of Syria and Ukraine. He invited, for those who have any doubts in the matter, invited people to look at the training circular 1801 of the U.S. Special Operational Forces, published on the 30th of November 2010, entitled Unconventional War. Can the United States and NATO provide guarantees that the use of force and the concept of war described in these circulars are not applicable and cannot be applied today against other countries, including some in Latin America and the Caribbean, a region which has been proclaimed in the second summit of CELAC a zone of peace? Mr. President, allow me to conclude emphasizing that Ukraine and Cuba are bound by deep, historic, indestructible ties. We will always remember the contribution of Ukrainians to our development. Very modestly, we are trying to comply with our duty for solidarity, in particular with the children affected by the Chernobyl accident. No one did more, nor with more affection, than the people of Cuba for those children that were affected. Thank you very much.